Hello, guys and gals, how's it going? So, Halloween is upon us. Ooh, the night of all the scary happenings and all weird things going on. So, I thought today we would do a little Halloween special, and we're going to talk about all the weird things that happen in Halloween, share some stories. I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm looking forward to this, I'm all tucked up, got my best cup of hot chocolate. I'm feeling good for this. So, do any of you guys actually know what Halloween stands for? Maybe. Some of you might do. Well, Halloween's actually a really big thing. It's a lot bigger than you think it is. Halloween's been around for almost 2,000 years now. It was originally a pagan holiday called Hallows' Eve, and that was originally celebrated to honor the dead. Yes, many people believe that Halloween is the one day that the dead get to walk the earth again. Ooh, how weird is that? So here's a couple more Halloweeny facts for you to get you in the mood. Oh yeah. So did you know that the first ever jack-o'-lantern that was made was actually a turnip? Huh, yeah, it was. Really? The first jack-o'-lantern that was ever created were originally down Ireland, and they were scooped out turnips. Yes, they were. Smiley little faces on them. Those were the original ones. How weird is that? Let's have another one. Alright, so here we go. So it's believed the ancient Celts of Ireland thought that ghosts and spirits roamed the night of October 31st. The Celts began wearing masks and costumes to avoid being recognised. There you go. So that's why people dress up. They dress up because it was originally believed that as it's the day all the ghouls and bad things get to walk the earth, if you wore a mask, they wouldn't recognise you. If they're out to get their own back, you did something bad, then you throw a mask on and just hope they don't see you. Yeah? Unless you got some weird funky hair, then they're probably going to catch you anyway. So now that we're all warmed up, we've got a Halloweeny feel going on. I'm excited. I'm terrified, to be honest. But yeah, that's just me. Have you ever had that time when you feel like there's someone watching you, or you could be sat at your computer right now, or maybe on your iPhone or your Android device, whatever you got, and you can feel like there's someone staring into the back of your head type thing? Well, we all have that feeling sometimes. Or maybe you go to get a glass of water at night, and you have to walk through the dark corridor into your kitchen. Hopefully not your bathroom, because you don't want to drink that water. You want the kitchen water, and you go through and it's all dark, and you have to walk back, and you feel like you could be getting followed, maybe? Or you kind of run up the stairs hoping that no one's going to follow you. I think we've all had that feeling sometimes. So we're going to jump into one of those type of stories, I think. And the first one we're going to do is called The Cat's Perch. And this is a personal experience by someone called Katie. So we're going to go into this one, and hopefully it's going to be good. So here we go. The story starts when I was in second grade. My family had just moved into a new house with an unfinished basement. My little brother and I thought it was the coolest thing until we moved in. He immediately became terrified of it, refusing to go down there alone. I thought he was just a scaredy cat, and would often go down there just to prove I could. Once spending 3 hours down there in total darkness. Most of the time though I faked it, keeping the TV my parents had down there for workouts on low, just so I could listen to something. Because the truth was, I was kinda scared too. I would be scared, seriously, going down to a dark basement. Hell no. I should probably explain what the cat has to do with this now. A few months after moving in, we decided to get a cat. We went to the shelter and picked a cuddly little black kitten. We named Pepper. She was important to the story, but later. First we have to do something about the spring under the house. Yeah, there was an underground spring under my house. Stupid builder. Anyway, somehow that spring led us to having a giant hole punched in the wall. A crawl space, if you will. Although, only the people who came to check on the spring draining system went in there. So they didn't go in there, because, it's horrible. Who would want to go in there? This dark, dingy hole. Even before my father made it an outright rule that my little brother and I were not to go into it, we had already decided we were going nowhere near it. My father even put up a plywood board to keep us from even thinking about going exploring. But after the thing kept falling off, he realised we never spent more time down there than necessary. It became just a thing, like a painting or a window. A normal feature of our house that just exists and nothing more, but only to my parents. Between my brother and I it became an unspoken law that the hole in the wall was something to be avoided. Between its utter creepiness and the orbs and wispy mists that would show up in random pictures, the paranormal occurrences were almost a taboo topic. If it wasn't for the occasional ghost story my little brother, cousins, and I would share. So, it's not that bad. A few years later, my parents got the bright idea to move Pepper's food and litter box down there. My brother and I didn't argue with them over it, but we hated the idea. They put a cat door on the door leading down to the accursed place, and told us to move the litter box down and food down there. The food wasn't on the landing, it was the easiest on us that way, but the litter box was in the room, the unfinished basement and all, right across from the hellhole, that pit of death. Pepper really didn't mind the move. She already liked spending time prowling the plank-filled ceiling, but she had one place, a little perch, where she would look directly into the space. Oh, that's scary, isn't it? Everyone knows that cats can look into, they can see things we can't. She would spend hours up there, sometimes growling at it. It's not that it didn't think of anything of it, except opposite. The only person I could talk to about it was my brother. And even then, we didn't dwell on it. Conversations on it stuck with a pattern. One of us would mention the little ninja growling at the hole, and the other would give a knowing glance. Neither of us would dwell on it, because that would just take us to the creepy corners of our imagination. Weird. A few months after moving Pepper's little box, I hosted my 8th grade cheerleading squad sleepover. It was all fun and giggles until around 10, when one of the girls noticed the door and was curious. "Katie, what's that?" she asked. "Oh, just a basement. Nothing special. No hole down there." "Oh, what's that down there?" The hair on the back of my neck went up. "Oh, nothing special, just some storage and the litter box," I replied. Pepper fast asleep on my lap, despite the noise. "Can we go see it?" she asked. This was an insane idea to me. Not even my cousins, who were as brave and adventurous as my brother and I, who joined us in the climbing pine trees, teasing the neighbourhood bully, and riding a wheelbarrow down the hills of the golf course that spread out behind my house, went into the basement. Like, that is the worst thing. Okay, they went in once, and said it was the creepiest place they'd ever been in, and wanted out immediately. I didn't blame them, but here was this little Peppy, who had no idea. I wasn't about to say anything about the cursed ground, not wanting to sound that crazy, but I really didn't want to take them down there. I wouldn't. Like, if there's a hellhole down inside the bottom of your basement, it's all dark and cats growl at it, I would go nowhere near that thing. Nowhere near that thing. I would board it up, I'd put a black sign on the door, I'd put a big cross on it. Hell no am I going in there. Why would you want to go down there? It's just an unfinished basement. "I don't have one, please," she begged. Alright. I had no choice. All nine of us went down there. 10 if you count Pepper, the cat, to see the basement. I turned on every light I could, but not enough to be suspicious. Pepper left her normal place as my second cat-shaped shadow and went to her perch. The girls were all looking around, but as the energy of the excited curiosity ebbed away, a bone-chilling cold took its place. "See, there's nothing down here." I'm pretty sure I was saying that to myself. "What's that?" one of the girls pointed to the crawl space, almost invisible in its cloak of darkness. A shiver went down my spine. Just a crawl space," I say, miraculously keeping calm. "Man, this place is creepy," said the same girl who wanted to come here in the first place. I turned to look at her and recognised the look in her eyes as one I had seen in my brother's and one I had seen on mine. Pepper let out a loud growl, detected towards the cursed crawl space. "Can we go now?" the same curious girl almost begged. "Yeah, we can go, definitely." I would go. We wasted no time getting out of there, and Pepper shortly followed. We stayed upstairs for the rest of the night, and nobody has mentioned the basement since. Less than a year later, we moved out. My mum had twins, and we all just felt too crowded in the old house. Ironically, my new room is the totally normally finished basement. That is ironic. Pepper is less skittish in this new house, probably for reasons my little brother and I no longer speak of. Now we have renters in the old house though, and I haven't the nerve to ask about anything creepy I might have missed in the 3 years since we left about the horrible basement. But on Halloween of all nights, I was walking a group of trick-or-treaters through my old neighbourhood, and I could have sworn I'd seen a pale face in the basement window, and it was looking directly at me. Ooh, that is horrible. Surely you've all got that place, under your stairs or something where you think there's going to be horrible things staring at you. That is like one of my worst nightmares. That is a good story, but that is one of my worst nightmares going. Like, I can't think of anything worse than thinking there's something there, or, something under your bed, or... Ooh, that's horrible stuff. So here's another little story for you guys. Have you ever been laying in bed and, you've had your arm sticking out of one side? And have you ever, have you ever been worried that someone's going to touch your hand? Like, oh, that would be the worst thing, wouldn't it? Well, this one is for you. This one is called Drip, Drip, Drip. Here we go. So one night, a young girl, Lily Foster, is left alone for the night in her country house while her parents drove out to town for a pie. This was fine with Lily, especially since she had her faithful dog Scout protecting her throughout the night. She made herself something to eat and sat down at the kitchen table, turned on the radio to her favourite station. She was surprised to hear a news bulletin declaring that an avenged murderer was on the loose. It advised that people secure all windows and doors as a safety precaution. With a dog by her side, the young girl locked the front and back doors. She went from window to window and locked each of them, one at a time. She reassured herself that she would be fine with her trusty dog, and that her parents would be home shortly anyway. So Lily had a pleasant, peaceful evening, and finally decided around 11 o'clock that it was time for bed. She climbed the stairs to her bedroom and slid under the big, warm blanket on her bed. Before closing her eyes, reached her hand down under the bed and allowed her dog to lick it. She did this every night because it comforted her. A short while later, she awoke to the sound of a scratching noise at her bedroom door. She eyed the window and reminded herself that the whole house was locked and she was safe. She did the windows and everything. She stuck her hand under the bed and felt her dog's slobbery tongue cross her palm of her hand. She sighed and went back to sleep. An hour or so later, she sat up in bed. She had heard footsteps in the hallway and crept out of bed to see if it was possibly just her parents returning from their party. Seeing nothing, she returned to bed once again. As she was about to stick her hand under the bed, she heard a dripping sound, going drip, 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 followed by some footsteps. She walked downstairs into the kitchen, secured to the taps. That surely wasn't the source of the drip. She crept upstairs and climbed into bed. This is silly, she told herself. I'm probably just imagining something. She stuck her hand under the bed and felt the dog lick her hand. An hour or so later, she awoke again. A little mad at this point, she jumped out of bed. The dripping wasn't coming from the kitchen, so it must be from the bathroom. She crept along the side of the hallway and walked into the bathroom. She groped along the side of the wall with her left hand, looking for the light switch. She flicked the light on and gasped. There, hanging from the shower rod, was Scout. Skinned, a pool of blood had formed on the bathroom tile with a continuous dripping. As the blood from the dog hit the ground, something on the wall caught her eye. Written in the wall was a message in blood. It read, "Humans can lick too." Oh, that's horrible. That is horrible. I would hate to put my hand under the bed and have something touch my hand. Oh, what is it? What would it be? Like, that's the worst thing. You don't know what it is, do you? Oh, I'd hate that. That would be... Oh, I'm never putting my hand under my bed again. That is... Oh, that's gone and done it. So no one likes spiders, right? Well, some people do. I'm not too bad with spiders. They're only like big ants, pretty much, with long, spindly, horrible legs. Yeah, I'm not scared of them. I'm not scared of them at all. But what about if they were like, in your hair or so? Oh, like, thinking about that just makes me shudder. Like, I don't mind them, but in hair, no, not a thing. Well, this is a true story for you guys right now. It's a small one, just a little itsy-wincy bit, But here we go. So this one is a story called The Hairdo. Or The Hairdo is basically, it's an urban legend about a vain woman who styles her hair into a bun and never bothers to wash it. So do you remember when you was young and you used to have to always have a bath, and you was always like, oh, I don't want to have a bath because I'd rather watch Star Wars or play Final Fantasy VII or something like that? Well, this story is for you. Yeah, it is. So a few years ago, there was a middle-aged woman who was very vain and would always wear her hair up in a big bun. She was very proud of her hairdo and thought she was the most fashionable of all her friends. She had no idea that her hairstyle had gone out of fashion years ago. Geez, who wears buns anymore? Seriously. The woman was very lazy and didn't like having to spend time cleaning and styling her hair. Instead, she just left her hair as it was. She just left it as it was and never took it down at all. In fact, she never even bothered to wash it. Whenever she took a shower, she would wear a shower cap to make sure the water didn't mess up her hairstyle at night. She would sleep with a towel wrapped around her hair to make sure nothing, moved out of place. She was very conscientious of her hairstyle. After a while, her hair began to smell. To mask the odour, she used to put hairspray on it. Like, she always used to squirt a little bit on just in case you're walking down the street, you don't want people going, oh, hair smells. So she used to spray a little bit on it. And now and then it would itch, so she'd just spray a little bit more. Yeah, that's kind of what she did for some time. One morning, when she came down for breakfast, her husband went up to the bedroom to wake her up because he thought, well, what's going on? Why didn't she come down? To his horror, he discovered that his wife, she died during the night. Oh. At first, the police thought she must have, had a heart attack in her sleep, because there wasn't a mark on her body. However, when the coroner was conducting an autopsy, he couldn't figure out what had killed her. Like, he had no idea. There was no marks. She hadn't, her heart was all good. She didn't smoke or anything, so there's no bad things going on. She was fairly fine. And then, as they were wrapping up, they thought, well, we're going to have to, get her ready for being shown and stuff and all that stuff. So they thought, oh, we'll undo her hair and we'll get it looking nice and stuff. A bit more modern because she was a bit outdated. So, they did that. And as they took it down, the most horrible thing you could ever think happened. They opened it, and inside was hundreds of little black widows. Oh, how horrible is that? Basically, one of them must have got in there and laid its eggs in there, and when all the baby spiders hatched, apparently they bit through her skull into her brain. How disgusting is that? That is the most horrible thing I've ever heard. Like, I am shaving my hair off and I am going to wash it even though I haven't got any. Like, that is going to be a thing from now onwards. That is absolutely disgusting. Let alone, I don't know, being in bed asleep and a spider wandering across your bed type thing. Like, that's horrible enough, but being in your hair, oh, and not knowing it's there, that's horrible. Absolutely disgusting. Alright guys and girls, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed a few scary stories and some little facts for you. It is Halloween, so if you're going out, then make sure you have a great time. If you've got a party or you're trick-or-treating, or if you're just staying inside watching some scary movies with some friends or by yourself, whatever you're doing, make sure you have a great night. I know I will be. And just remember, it is Halloween, which is the night that all the ghastly ghouls come out to play. So if anyone's knocking on your door, or you go out to get a glass of water during the night, just be a little bit careful, yeah? I know I'm gonna be. Alright guys, I'll see you soon. Have a good one, and goodbye.